I want to thank everyone for joining us today and welcome to our Charging Smart 101 webinar. And of course, Charging Smart is a technical assistance and designation program that's really designed to help communities on their pathway towards transportation electrification. So this is really our webinar to help introduce this program for folks who might not be familiar, really impart some critical information as your communities are moving forward towards designation and generally in supporting electrification in your communities. We can go ahead to the next slide, please. All right, in terms of what we'll be covering today, first off, going to be introducing the Great Plains Institute team, as well as a little icebreaker for the communities that are here today. Then I'm going to be handing off the time to my colleague, Rebecca Heisel, who's really going to be getting into the meat of the Charging Smart program, some of the core elements of the program, how the designation system works, a bit of the background to the program itself. And then also covering some really critical details, things like the time commitment that communities can expect moving forward in this program, some other key dates and logistical elements of participation. And then, of course, going to be touching on what are those next steps that communities can take as you're moving into this process. We will, of course, be leaving time at the end for some questions and answers. So make sure to remember any questions that you have as they're coming up. We'll definitely take the time to address those and make sure that all questions are answered and people feel confident moving into the next steps of the program. We can go ahead to our next slide, please. All right, before we get started with some of the introductions of the Great Plains Institute team, for any folks that have not been with us in the past, we do like to ask that people will change the Zoom name just so that it's also reflecting the community that you are representing as well as the state that you're located in. And once you've done that, would also love to ask folks to answer this icebreaker question that we have. So that is, what topics related to EVs are you most interested in learning more about? Now, this can be like on a personal level, or perhaps your community has already been encountering specific questions that relate to electric vehicles that you're hoping to learn more about and hopefully address by participating in the Charging Smart program. So as folks are throwing answers into the Zoom chat, I'll go ahead and start with some introductions on our side. And first off, being that all of the team members you see here are part of the Great Plains Institute, GPI, as you'll hear us refer to it as. And the GPI itself is a nonpartisan nonprofit organization that really works to accelerate the transition to net zero carbon for the benefit of people, the economy, and the environment. So within GPI, there's multiple departments. Everyone that is working on the Charging Smart program itself is part of the GPI's communities team. So really our work focuses on that work that happens at the community level. So in this case, providing technical assistance and helping to build capacity for local communities, be them cities, towns, what have you. Now, in terms of our individual members on the team, the folks who you see here today are probably going to be the ones that will be helping you the most moving forward. Feel free to reach out to any of us. We will have our contact information at the end of this presentation. But just to kick us off, my name is Jem Thompson. I am a program coordinator and transportation planner with the Great Plains Institute. And really my work does focus here on the Charging Smart program. And so I'm going to kick it over to some of my fellow team members, starting with Mackenzie, to do just a brief little introduction so we can start to put some names to faces.
Thanks, Jim, and hello, everyone. My name is Mackenzie Love. I'm a Senior Program Manager and Transportation Planner in GPI's Communities team. I lead our work on the national deployment of Charging Smart and also the direct technical assistance that we provide to communities across the Midwest. And I'm really grateful to be here with you all today. I'll hand it over to my colleague, Rebecca.
Hi, all. Thank you. I'm Rebecca Heisel, Senior Program Coordinator on the GPI team, and I focus mostly on supporting you all and other participants as you work through the Charging Smart program. And I'll pass it over to my colleague Moontas.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Moontas. I'm a program associate, and my team did a great job describing the work that we do, so I'm excited to work with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, team. And like I mentioned, at the end of this presentation, we'll have all of our individual contact informations displayed. This slide deck will be handed off to everyone after this presentation as well, so you have that on hand. And please do not hesitate to reach out to any of us moving forward with any questions you might have regarding the program or electrification in your community whatsoever. I am going to give folks a bit more time to answer our icebreaker question, and feel free to do that as we're kind of entering into the meat of the presentation itself. I'll go ahead and throw that icebreaker question into the chat as well, so you can remember it. But with that, I will turn over the time to Rebecca to really kick us off and start to introduce the nitty-gritty of the Charging Smart program.
Great. Thank you, Jem. And it's good to see you all on the call. I think that the people that are here are pretty familiar with the Charging Smart program, but this is a really important webinar because there have been some changes to the requirements in the program framework. And so I want to make sure that you all are knowledgeable and aware of what those changes are and how you can move forward in designation. So Charging Smart is part of the Energy Ready suite of programs that is designed to help your community reach energy goals and consists of 3 different designation programs that are for local government. So that's the Charging Smart program, the program that we're here today to talk about, the Soul Smart program, and the newest Distributed Wind Smart program. And so each of these programs awards designations to communities that successfully implement the criteria that help reduce unintended barriers to clean energy development within your community. So if you're interested in learning more about some of these other programs that are part of the Energy Ready umbrella, you can go to energy./ready.org to learn more, or follow that QR code that is on the screen right now. But today we're really going to be focusing on the Charging Smart program. So the Charging Smart program, as Jem already described, is a structured technical assistance and designation program that offers support to local governments like yourselves in setting and achieving EV readiness goals for your community. And the technical assistance that is provided through this program comes at no cost to participants. And GPI, we'll be providing you access to tools like monthly webinars that will delve into a variety of technical assistance topics, and we'll provide you with more resources like templates and guides that will help guide you through the different actions that are required as a part of this program. We will also be providing you with one-on-one technical assistance for goal setting and implementation of those goals at the beginning, middle, and the end of your participation, as well as really any other time that you need our support. That could be through email if you need to send us an email asking questions, or if you'd like to set up a time with someone on our team to go and talk more in depth about specific questions or support that you need. We're always here and ready to help you. So always want to highlight that support that's provided to all of you. The Charging Smart program is modeled on the evidence-based experience of the U.S. Department of Energy funded Soul Smart program, which I mentioned earlier falls under that Energy Ready umbrella. And it is a national designation and technical assistance program that reduces barriers to solar deployment. And so the thing that I want to note here is that if you have participated in the Soul Smart program, which has been around for a little longer than our Charging Smart program, we hope that it feels very similar to you, because we intentionally created these programs so that they feel as cohesive as possible. As I mentioned, GPI, we are a lead partner for the Charging Smart program, as well as the technical assistance provider in Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, Indiana, and parts of Illinois that fall outside of the Chicago metro area. And this is our logo here, but really it takes a whole team to make a national program work. And so on this side here, we have the logo of all of our different wonderful partners and organizations that we've worked with in development of this program, so that we have the best learnings and the best experience possible to create a program that fits your community as well as communities in the Midwest as well as across the nation. So I do want to especially call out and give a big thanks to the U.S. Department of Energy, which this program is funded through, as well as the Interstate Renewable Energy Council, or IREC, who leads the overall national program. So the benefits of participating in Charging Smart, I already mentioned a bit about the technical assistance that GPI provides in the form of resources like guides and templates to help you work on the different actions that are available, the one-on-one meetings that we can offer to support your work, as well as those informational webinars that that we put on every month to bring you experts and review resources that are available on a wide range of topics related to EVs. There's also, as a part of this program, an opportunity to engage with the other participants in the program, both with communities in your state, but also, since we are a technical assistance provider across the Midwest, you get to engage with communities from other states as well, which we find to be really, really valuable in learning from each other, being able to create space to ask each other questions, and as well as to build different partnerships as we work all towards becoming more EV ready. It also is a way to help future-proof your community as EVs continue to gain traction across the country, and it paves the way for economic development within your community. Having a robust system of EV chargers and friendly policies within your community can help support things like tourism and attracting EV users to your community, or just supporting the EV users or potential EV users who are already are within the space. So the last but definitely not least, of course, there is the opportunity to earn recognition as a charging smart community, which can be really helpful in gaining support from your local decision makers, to sharing the good news about all the great work that your community has done with your community members, with others that are looking to see what your community has been doing in the EV space. So now to jump more into like kind of the nitty-gritty of the program, the Charging Smart program provides all of the benefits that we listed through a framework of over 100 criteria or actions that are organized into, those criteria are organized into a series of best practices, which are then further grouped into these 6 categories, which are listed on the slide: planning, regulation, utility engagement, government operations, education and incentives, and shared mobility. So briefly, what each of these categories are about. The planning category is focused on adding EVs and charging infrastructure into your community's planning documents, whether that's a comprehensive plan or a climate action plan, or perhaps just a downtown plan, making sure that we have goals that are clear and have timelines that are implemented into these different planning documents. The regulation category is really focused on updating our zoning ordinances or building codes as applicable to include charging infrastructure, as well as making sure that our permitting processes related to installing charging infrastructure within our community are streamlined and transparent. Utility engagement category is really important because our electric utilities are really great partners within this work. And so making sure that we're engaging with them early and often is the main focus of the utility engagement category. For government operations, this one is looking at internally at our local government, what we are doing to further EV adoption within our community, whether that's installing public charging infrastructure, electrifying our municipal fleets, or providing staff reserve charging stations for municipal employees. The education incentives category is focused on educating our community members, our local businesses, and commercial property owners about the benefits of EVs, what programs and incentives are out there. And I really view this as a foundational category to providing education and information to our communities about the benefits of EVs. And then last, but definitely not least, is our shared mobility category. And this category is focused on making sure that we're looking holistically at our transportation systems and understanding that maybe not everyone will own a personal vehicle in their lifetime. And so making sure that we're electrifying other modes of transportation as well, whether that's transit, paratransit, our school buses, providing electric car share opportunities within our community, as well as electric bike and scooter share opportunities. So these categories really focus on a whole range of different topics and ways that we can be advancing electrification within our communities. So I will move on to the designation structure is similar to SoulSmart. A community can earn bronze, silver, or gold designation through this program. And I mentioned that we have over 100 criteria in the program, and I don't want that to sound overwhelming to you because we don't expect that you are completing every single action or criteria within this program. I want to assure you that this program is designed to be flexible and to more act as a menu of actions that you as experts of your community and you know what's best for your community and kind of where the where the general vibe is going for what would work best in your community so that you can select the actions that will be most beneficial to your community. And GPI, our team, of course, we can help you go through those actions and kind of help make a roadmap to how you can get to designation, as well as how you can be completing actions that work best for you and your community. But that being said, there are a subset of those criteria that the Charging Smart team has identified as particularly impactful when reducing barriers to EVs within our communities. And so those most impactful actions have become the basis for the requirements that are needed to achieve designation at that bronze, silver, or gold level. And so in the next couple of slides, I will be reviewing what those requirements are. So for bronze designation, there are a total of 80 points that are needed to be earned to earn designation. And so I will point out that every criterion has a specific number of points, whether that's 5, 10, 15, or 20 points that are assigned to it that can be earned upon completion of that action. So to earn bronze, as I just said, you would need to earn 80 points through completion of various actions. We do have a few specific criteria that are required that need to be completed to earn bronze, and those are completing a review of your community's current zoning requirements, adopting a standard EV charging infrastructure permit application process, and then developing a permitting checklist based off of that process. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we always recommend engaging with your utility early and often. And so we do have a requirement here to have a meeting with your electric utility that services your community and discuss collaboration opportunities that are related to EVs. So those are the 4 required criteria to earn bronze. And then we do have some requirements of points to be earned in specific categories. So we do say that you need to earn 10 points in the planning category, but we don't specify what those specific criteria are. We will leave that up to you. And then we also say that you need to earn 15 points within that education and incentives category, because it is such an important part of this process, is making sure that your community is aware and knowledgeable about the benefits of EVs. So with that, of the 80 points, there are 20 just kind of flexible points where you can choose whichever criteria you would like to work on once you've finished those required criteria that I just mentioned. To earn silver designation, you do need to finish all of the required bronze actions to be eligible to go after that silver designation. To earn silver, you need to have a total of 150 points. And so that's not 80 points in the bronze plus 150 points. It's all cumulative. And so it's 150 points total. We do have 3 required criteria within this within the silver designation, and that is within your zoning ordinance, you permit chargers as an accessory use by right, and you also have language that allows EV charging stalls to count towards minimum parking requirements. And we also say that you have to complete an initial fleet analysis of your municipal fleet. For the required points from specific categories, we do say that you need to earn 20 points within the utility engagement category. That goes beyond that initial bronze requirement of having a conversation with your utility to discuss collaboration opportunities. You then need to earn 20 additional points within that category. But once again, we don't have specific required criteria. You can choose what works best for your community. And then once you've done all those required actions, there are 40 kind of flexible criteria that you can, points that you can choose from to earn silver. For gold designation, similarly, you need to complete all of the bronze and silver requirements to then be eligible to move on to gold. To earn gold designation, there are 300 total points that need to be earned, and we do have a variety of required criteria within this category. Gold is, of course, kind of the thing that we're working towards, and so it will be the most have the most requirements to get there. But just generally what you need to do, the specific criteria for gold are to address EV charging infrastructure in one of your community's plans. We don't say which one. It could be a comprehensive plan. It could be a transportation plan. It could be a community energy plan. You need to have goals and timelines related to EVs within a planning document that your community has. You also need to establish standard approval timelines for your that permitting process related to EV chargers. And we do say that you need to adopt an EV-ready ordinance for new construction. There are some alternatives which we can discuss if that doesn't work for your community, but that is a requirement, as well as installing a public charger and completing a more comprehensive municipal fleet analysis, as well as purchasing an EV for the municipal fleet. So those are the required actions or the requirements for gold designation. But of course, we as our GPI team can meet with you to go over these and help walk you through and come up with a roadmap for the best way that your community can get towards designation. So some program details that would be helpful for you all to know that I see that there's lots of chat going on, and so we'll get to answering those in a moment, but maybe some of this will answer that for you. So the time commitment for participating in this program is we do have those monthly optional informational webinars that are about an hour long. As I said, they're optional, so you can come to them as you see fit. And you can also invite other members of your municipal staff if it makes most sense for them to come to whatever the topic is that we are discussing. So maybe we're going over zoning ordinances and you want to invite some of your planning staff. You're more than welcome to do that. We also have opportunities, as I mentioned, for you all to meet with the GPI team for one-on-one technical assistance. For the initial meeting and then the meetings that we have at the beginning and end of your progression through this program, those tend to be about an hour long. But then, of course, if you need additional meetings with us, kind of depending on what you're asking and what you need, there'll be that time requirement as well. And then, of course, we're here to help support you through this program, but there will be some self-directed work that you'll need to do to meet your community goals as a part of this program. So that will take staff as well. But beyond the staff time involved, there's no cost to participate in this program. Everything is completely free of cost to participants. So we do have some communities that are going through designation in the month of March, but the next round of designation review that we'll go through will take place in July of this year. But of course, if you are an all-star and you just move through the program really quickly and you want to get designation, we can also do designation reviews outside of the kind of set timings that we have listed here. So whatever works best for you and your community. It's just sometimes nice to have a goal to work towards and have timelines set out. So so we do have the next round of designation outside of this current designation happening in March will be July 2025. So generally how the timeline works for participating in this program is that you submit, community will submit onboarding materials. The onboarding materials that we look for are a self-assessment, which is a quick form that we ask you to fill out that asks you about where you're at, what your community has done related to EVs, so that we, our GPI team, can have a good sense when we meet with you of what criteria might be best for your community, as well as a commitment letter that needs to be signed by someone who has the ability to say, yes, we can commit some staff time to working towards designation in the Charging Smart program. So we ask that you submit that commitment letter. Once we have those onboarding materials from you, we will schedule a one-on-one meeting with you to discuss your community's priorities related to EVs and set goals for this program and for earning designation. And then Then throughout the program, you can work independently on these your goals that we've set up. You can attend the monthly webinars and participate and reach out to our staff in those one-on-one technical assistance offerings that we provide. Then once you've worked through the program and you've completed the necessary actions to receive designation, our team will meet with you to kind of help fill out the different documents that are needed to submit for designation, so that we make sure we have all of our ducks in a row, and then we will submit those documents for designation to the overall Charging Smart team to review. And it takes about, we have a goal of a 2-week turnaround. Once you've submitted your designation documentation, there'll be about 2 weeks that'll take to review that and verify that you have earned the designation. Before then you become designated as a Charging Smart community and we get to celebrate you. So that's overall the timeline of and kind of what you can expect as you work through this program. So as I said, next steps, if you're just getting started, is to commit or complete the commitment letter, have that signed and sent to our team, as well as complete the self-assessment. If you're already participating in the program, I would say, reach out to us if you have any questions or need additional support, or want to review any of the information that we just talked about today. Our team is here for you and we're more than willing to support you. Last but not least, as Jem promised at the very beginning, here is all of our contact information. Reach out to any one of us and we would be more than happy to, to help either get you started, send you those materials for onboarding, or to get a meeting going with you to discuss and support you as you work through this program. So I think the next bit, I see that there's some questions in the chat. So I think I'll turn it over to you, Jem, if that's all right, to moderate the Q&A portion.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much for that, Rebecca. That was great information. And I think one thing I always take away from these 101 sessions is just the flexibility that's baked into Charging Smart. I think that it's recognized that every community is different, every community's needs and capacity are going to be different, and even their goals with regards to electrification might be different. And I think this program reflects that understanding that there are multiple ways to kind of get at achieving transportation electrification. And as Rebecca mentioned, so many criteria that you could choose to address, not that you're expected to, but there are just a lot of different options and different ways to approach this entire process. And always excited to speak with communities and hear kind of what their pathway might look like. But that is neither here nor there, just excitement on my end. So looking at some of the questions that we are getting in the chat, and folks feel free as well to throw any others in there or come off of mute to go ahead and ask questions. But I will just start by kind of clearing the queue in our chat. And the first one here asking like if there is a deadline for the designation review in July. And I believe I'm actually going to look to Rebecca if like we have established a set date for that July review that we would like materials to be submitted by.
Yeah, that's a great question, Kayla. Thank you for asking. We're aiming for we don't have a specific date yet, but about the middle of July, just so that we can have time to work with you all to review your documentation and the verification that you have before submitting, so that you can get, as I mentioned, there's that 2-week kind of delay of once we submit your materials to the Charging Smart team reviewing it, so that you can get that designation by the end of July. So looking for about mid-July for getting those materials in.
Awesome. And then We've also, some of these questions are being answered live in the chat, but just so that folks, in case folks aren't following along in the chat, one great question here is, has there been any interest about how e-bikes fit into the overall EV discussion? And for a more detailed answer, Mackenzie was so gracious to answer that in the chat. But just to kind of reiterate what was mentioned there, really where e-bikes would come in is that shared mobility category. That is where things like micromobility, shared micromobility have kind of been placed in terms of the Charging Smart program. One thing I would love to just also mention, though, is as you're looking through the program, you will see that there is a category called innovative action, which within each of kind of those 6 different buckets, planning, regulation, shared mobility, all of them have the option for innovative action, which is essentially, if you've got a great idea as a community, we want to reward you with points for that. Like if it is furthering electrification and it's something we didn't think of when devising the program, that is fantastic. We want to make sure that we are keeping this program up to date with best practices that are emerging in real time. Um, I think that that is also gets to what Rebecca mentioned a little earlier, how the program was recently updated. That does happen on an annual basis. So that's one other wrinkle to consider. But if you've got ideas, be it with e-bikes or some other innovative action, talk to us. Like we want to make sure that you are being acknowledged for cool ideas that we didn't think of at the beginning of this program. And I think personally, with a background in active transportation, I think e-bikes are a fantastic avenue, or maybe something we could develop into a more formalized criteria down the line, if we've got a community that's willing to do a test case for us. I see a hand up. Andrew, take us
Yeah.
away.
Just it. Me and Kayla are from Minnesota, and from my understanding, I think a few of you are from Minnesota as well. And the reason I brought up e-bikes is because I feel like we were kind of slightly taken aback just by the popularity of the rebate program that the state did. And that seemed just from an out, like I'm pretty sustainability focused as far as like my background goes. But I was just really surprised because that felt like a significant way for people to kind of dive into beneficial electrification, or at least like change some of their behaviors in a way that I can see kind of e-bikes being like that first step before somebody really fully commits to doing EVs. I think having those built out just based on the popularity of that program, I think that could be really valuable. I know that we've kind of gotten it remains to be seen whether it's sustained, but just kind of given how that first year of the program went, it's very clear that there's a demand for it.
Yeah,
Andrew, this is Nikki. Oh, sorry, Rebecca.
no, go ahead. I was just going to say that we've seen a lot of success when folks do ride and drives. They also will include e-bikes as a part of that program, and that has been a really popular thing as well. And so I think there's a lot of interesting ways that we can combine the two.
Yes, thank you, Rebecca. I wanted to add one more thing, Andrew, in addition to what I said in the chat, which I talked about shared mobility programs where those e-bikes are offered often by the municipality or a company and are available to all members of the community to use for short periods. But I also wanted to note that the shared mobility category in Charging Smart does talk about encouraging infrastructure like shared mobility lanes or bike lanes, things of that nature that support personal e-bike use as well. And there are a couple of actions within the planning category that touch on those mobility hubs to help people make intermodal connections, because I think you're very right that e-bikes can offer a first entry point into electrification that has a much more attainable price point and different accessibility considerations. So folks can start to get involved and maybe bridge into other electrified modes like transit or even shared electric vehicles. So point well taken. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
We'll keep working on that.
how I feel about it. It's like I think there's a lot of people who do want to make that switch to an EV, but I think that price point is a stickler, just economics. That is a stickler for everyone. But I think that maybe just kind of like you said, considering that as like your first entry point and kind of a good way to get buy-in. I think maybe just promoting that a little bit more, like I don't know if maybe we should have like a section just on that,
Hmm.
on kind of, because it seems like it's like we've got some street reconstruction projects on Central Avenue, on 40th Avenue, and University where we're at. And I think that if there are best practices that we kind of want to encourage, like you said, with like the shared use paths, I think that that could be a really good way to kind of get those things that help kind of build out that infrastructure beyond just like the capacity.
Mhm. Yeah, that's I think a fantastic observation, Andrew. And I know in other locations that have implemented e-bike rebates, there is kind of this discussion of a virtuous cycle of you get more people on e-bikes, which leads to more people advocating for infrastructure for their ease of use. And I do think there's a whole body of research of when people start to electrify certain elements of their life, they're more likely to electrify even more elements of their life. So that idea is kind of, the e-bike is the gateway drug into electrification. I think more people on bikes, more people on electrified bikes, I think it's all kind of moving in the direction that I think everyone on this call is in support of. I'm going to look to see if there any other questions have popped up in the chat while we've been having this great conversation on e-bikes. And of course, if other folks have questions, feel free to come off mute or throw them into the chat. Also, of course, if questions come up that you think of just after we all log off, you've got our contact information, so please feel free to uh, reach out to us with any additional questions that might come up. I am not seeing any fresh questions popping in. Oh, I see Mackenzie with a hand up.
Hey, Jim, I was just wanting to add something proactively. I know Rebecca touched on this already, but I just wanted to highlight again the framework for charging smart, of course, covers over 100 different actions, and no one has to complete all of those. But if you're ever looking at one and would like more specific discussion about how it applies to your community, or if something, if language that you're drafting meets all of those criteria, or what little shifts are needed, we're happy to talk about that at any point. You can call us, email us, set up meetings whenever you'd like, where we would be just very, very pleased to talk with you through how it specifically works in your context. And I wanted to say another tangential point. If you are ever looking at a criteria and you think, oh gosh, this is a heavy lift, it's going to take me some time to get enough staff capacity to do this, we do have some resources within the GPI team and within the Charging Smart program to help you actually complete those criteria. So there are a couple that ask you to, say, do a memo reviewing your zoning code. We This is something we definitely think is accomplishable for a community by itself, but we also recognize that sometimes there's staff limitations and real world barriers in places, and we don't want that to be something that prohibits you from participating. So if you're facing a limitation and we can help you with resources, please give us a call, email. We will find ways to help remove that barrier and sort through the details with you. We're happy to be a team player in any and all of your efforts to move through Charging Smart and move towards electrification.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Mackenzie. And not seeing any additional questions popping up, I think that we can absolutely give folks 13 minutes of their day back. Never a bad thing on a Thursday morning. And of course, just to reiterate, please reach out with any questions you might have. No question is too small for us to just hop on the horn and chat. Whatever helps, be it a virtual meeting on the phone or via email. We're really here to support your efforts, and that's what we're going to try to do, really meeting your community wherever they're at in this process. Um, so with that, I want to thank everyone again for joining us this morning. We will be following up with the slide deck from today's presentation and eventually the recording from today's presentation as well. With that, I will go ahead and sign off and thank everyone once again for joining us today.